to share her money journey and just how she was able to make progress as far as financially, but also in her wellness journey and now running a business that is like blowing up on the internet. I personally believe and see, and I'm super excited to support. So I would love for you to introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about like who you are and what you do.
Yes. So, hi, everyone. My name is Danille Simon. I am a graphic designer as well as a painter. And recently, towards the end of last year, I decided to start my own business where I now sell my original paintings as well as prints.
That's so exciting. Okay, here's why, y'all. Because we have talked about this more than a year ago, I believe. I'm like timeline. Pandemic made my brain fuzzy. But more than a year ago, we were talking about you wanting to like put your art out into the world and just be able to kind of do what you want as far as being at pop-ups or being in galleries and different things like that. And so for you to now like be super professional, I was on your website and I'm like, ooh, this is so cool. 'Cause I'm getting ready to order some prints to myself as gifts and for my own office, that you are following through and experiencing the things that you said you were going to do. And so before we dive into that, I would love to have you share, like for you, before we started working together, what were some of your roadblocks? What were some of like your struggles and frustrations when it came to money and life overall?
So it was really just staying consistent and showing up for myself. That was what was hard. Like I knew what I had to do. But, you know, sometimes when you're just used to your comfort zone, then you just kind of stick into that. And so that's why I had reached out to you just then at the time to kind of have like an accountability partner. Because again, as I said, I knew what needed to be done. But then like once you have someone helping you along the way, keeping you accountable, helping you to call out the things that maybe you're not doing. So yeah, that was really my blocking stone, I guess, myself.
Listen, calling out with love and support, okay? In a very compassionate, gentle way, but still calling out, you know? Okay. And I think that you're not alone. You know what I mean? That's why I personally have accountability. I have coaches that, I employ to help me to stay on track and do the things that I say I'm going to do and to call me on my BS, if and when I need. And so I love that you mentioned you knew what needed to change. You knew what you should have been doing, but like having some support was really maybe that missing piece that helped you to start making progress. And so what did you think was going to happen when we started working together? And then was it like, were things what you expected or was it different?
I would say they were exactly what I wanted to happen. I think I buckled down and got more serious about myself and the goals that I wanted to achieve. We talked about, of course, money, but then also me creating my business as well as eating healthier. So all of those things I can actually say that I did. I went vegan for a year. Found out it wasn't for me, but I still eat a mainly plant-based diet. And I mean, now I created my business. So I can definitely say that I am living in my goals now or living out my goals. Yeah.
I know that, you were getting ready to like purchase your first home and you were wanting to invest, but you also wanted to make sure that you were taking good care of your body, right? By what were you putting in your body? What were you putting on your body? I remember you saying that you were like made some shea butter and stuff like that. And so like, your wins, because we always have, I like to make sure that students are sharing wins. Your wins were like a mixture, like you invested, you put some money aside in the moving process. And then you also like were eating better and you were also creating that shea butter. I'm like, send me some of that shea butter. That was helping you to take care of yourself from the inside out and financially, because I know that you mentioned having like siblings, right? And wanting to like be a role model for them to be able to see just what's possible, and that you're focusing in this area, and for them to have a frame of reference that shows, right? Like if they put their mind to something, they can make it happen. And so I would love for you to share, if you're open to, do you feel like, if at all, like maybe either the way that you grew up, or like what society says, or like community says about money, or maybe you didn't learn anything about money growing up, but like how that shifted, or how you want to be that model for your siblings, maybe because of your experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I I come from an immigrant background. Well, I immigrated to the U.S. myself at a pretty young age, and you know, I was born in Jamaica, and growing up in a, I guess what they call a third world country, it's a struggle, right? So I came to the U.S. My parents brought me here for better opportunities, and so seeing my parents and my grandparents and those before me kind of struggle with money, that was something that I knew that I definitely wanted to kind of break the cycle, and being the first generation to not have to worry about money, and show my siblings that, there's different ways that you can make money, going to college, of course, but then also pursuing their passions. I come from a long line of artists, from musicians, painters. So a lot of times when, you're growing up in poverty, you kind of have to put aside those creative things to pursue the things that would actually make you money, which, pushing you towards being a doctor, a lawyer, those types of things. I think a lot of immigrant parents push us to do those things. And so I just want to show my siblings, that you can, of course, work hard, but also be able to pursue your passions. And yeah.
I love it. Because I say that because I think that your story and some of the pieces of what you share are just like so many women will be able to resonate. And I'm sitting here getting waves of goosebumps because I know, being an immigrant, that, my family was pushing me toward being a doctor or, some other kind of professional where it's like safe. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be guaranteed to have financial stability or security. And that just comes from a place of our families loving us and wanting us to do well and be okay, which is great. The intention is amazing. However, thankfully, we don't necessarily have to pick up where, our family left off to repeat the same things. Our job, to me, is to take the baton and run further and faster with it. And so it's like, if my family made choices to come to the States for me to have certain opportunities, well, my lifetime needs to be dedicated to going further and faster with the opportunity they gave me, so that my nieces and nephews, so that my children can pick up from where I leave and go further and faster for the next generation. And so that's exactly what you're saying. It literally, I'm like having to hold back a thug tear because I'm very passionate about honoring the choices that our families have made for us to be where we are, and taking it seriously. You know what I mean? Like, not coasting when it comes to, like, your family had to leave their country. Like, it's a completely different economic system. They had to learn how to navigate completely different, like, politics and culture. And so it's like, when you really think about the choices people have made for you to be where you are, like, for me, let me talk about myself. Who am I not to take that and really make it, like, worthwhile? You know what I mean? And really show what's possible. And that's what you're doing, right? They may have wanted you to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, but you're showing them, hey, I can have stability and be financially prepared and well, but I can do it with the creativity. And maybe hopefully it inspires them. Because when you said you come from a long line of creatives in your family, I'm like, well, it makes sense because you're so talented. But maybe it also encourages them to, like, tap into their creativity wherever they're at in this season, even if it's not what they do for money. And I think that you having had a profession prior to doing your art makes it so that you can create art from a place of abundance and joy and just loving it, as opposed to like, I have to do this art to like put food on the table. And so I think part of what maybe makes it easier to keep going and not burn out is because you get to do it from a place of love and joy, as opposed to feeling like you have to make this your number one thing, which it can be because you're going to keep on blowing up. I already know. But you know, the pressure isn't there. Right. Okay. So then what would you say are like some of your, if there was anything surprising, maybe there wasn't, was there anything surprising that came out of like really getting focused on your money and on your wellness over the last, year or two?
I wouldn't necessarily say anything surprising, but it just kind of proved to myself, that I can do it, that it's possible. That all the things that I ultimately brought to God as my goals and dreams, that they're achievable. Pretty much once you let go of, just let go, and the saying, let go and let God. Just not having expectations. Well, of course, we all have expectations, but kind of letting go of all the thoughts in your head, negative thoughts at that too, and just really being the person that God meant you to be.
Oh my goodness. You've just mentioned a huge gem, right? Being the person. And I think when we learn about goals, we learn about, outcome-based goals. I want to save $10,000. I want to be debt-free, which is all great, but that's on the other side of being the person. Like if you're going to be debt-free, then that means that you have to do certain things now. You have to think certain things. You have to embody certain things, have a certain approach and mindset so that you can have the outcome that you desire. And so it sounds like you've, been allowing yourself to become the version of you that shows up more consistently, right? Because you said consistency and really just following through for yourself was maybe one of the biggest challenges, but you've now proven with evidence to yourself that it's possible, which is, beyond money, such a healing thing to do. You know what I mean? To be able to say that you trust yourself, to be able to know that you can get certain results when you decide you're going to make something happen, I think is huge. Right. Okay. So what would you say, now that you're fancy and a nice business owner and all that stuff, what would you say has been the most challenging in beginning to like put yourself out there and essentially, right, share your gifts with the world?
Going back to what we were just talking about, just continuing to show up. I can say that, I'm an introvert. I like to be to myself. My art is something that's very personal to me. And so like sharing it with the world, sometimes that can be scary. So each day I have to like, as I said, kind of shut myself up a little bit so that I can share myself with the world. 'Cause, God gave each of us a talent or a gift. And I think that's something that we need to share. So, just continuing to show up. That's probably like something that I still struggle with. But I think that's natural.
Yes, 100%. Literally, I think it's funny because all the students that I get to work with, it's like we're all a mirror for each other, if that makes sense. And so I personally deal with the same thing. Like it's nerve-wracking to put yourself out there, but then to keep putting yourself out there is nerve-wracking, and it actually gets, for me, worse. So the more people like who know me and see me, the more I grow my business, the more, you know what I mean? The more things grow, the more nervous I become for whatever reason, It's an interesting thing. It's like, more people are watching me or whatever. Like it's a little nerve wracking. And I'm an introvert too. Most people would not think that. And I'm kind of socially awkward in person. I feel socially awkward. I'd be like, ooh. But the thing is that you have a gift. And your gift brings people joy, and it, you know what I mean? Like the videos that you create when you're like I'm like, I wish I knew how to freaking paint. Me stick figures, baby. Okay. Like that's what, that's what art you're going to get out of me. And so you have a gift that you've been given, and you being able to share it with the world impacts them. And it's the same, like I have a gift that I've been given, and it's for me to share with the world, not for me to hold and keep to myself. But it's 100% every single day of my life challenging to keep like going back to it and saying, okay, let's do this again. Before our conversation, I was nervous. Why? I don't know. I know you. Like, what am I nervous for? But it's a part of the process. Like you said, like this comes with the territory. And I think that it's what makes it to some extent exciting. You know, when you're going to go to an amusement park, and you're going to go on this roller coaster, you're going to live, like, you're not going to die from the amusement park, but you still get nervous. And it's because maybe you're excited, maybe because you don't know what to expect. And so I try to think of it that way. And I love that you shared that, because I think that a lot of people are waiting and hesitating because of that feeling. And then they can't even try to see if they like it or not like it. Like you said, you were vegan for a year and then you figured out it's not for me. But if you never tried, you would have been mad at yourself, like, I'm supposed to be vegan. You don't know until you try. And then you figure out, like, whether that thing is for you or not. Maybe you're like, I need to go a different direction. And so what I love is that you are willing to take the chance to try, and then maybe you have to pivot along the way. You know what I mean? To be able to do what really does feel right in that season. Okay. So then, if you were to talk to you before we worked together, let's say 2-3 years ago or whatever, or maybe at your most challenging point in your journey, let's say there, what is it that you would say to yourself now that you know what you know to, encourage or inspire yourself at that point?
I would probably say just keep going. Have faith, continue writing down your goals and dreams. God tells us to write them down plain and simple. So continue doing that, and just have faith that, in that process, you might be scared and nervous, but if it's something that you really want, when the time is right, it's going to happen. So.
I love that. Yes, indeed. It's true. And if we knew right then what we know now, there wouldn't be any worry or any doubt or anything like that, right? Because you've proven certain things to yourself up to this point. But I think that, again, our lives are stories that are being told, and the journey of the ups and the downs and everything are what make us have a more dynamic testimony, right? And so it makes us have a more fulfilling story to share and to tell with the world. So at this point, it sounds like you've been able to start getting in control of your money. It's an ongoing process always, right? You have to always keep working at it. You've been able to make progress when it comes to like taking really good care of yourself, and now start a business. What would you say now, as far as like, what do you see for yourself moving forward? Do you feel like your perspective has changed on what's possible for you?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Of course, I still have goals behind me. You can kind of see I have my vision board. So I still am, every day working towards the things that I want, and the things that I've dreamt for myself. So I guess in my business, just, reaching more people. Again, like we said, that's scary, but that's definitely one of the goals, just reaching more people, sharing my art with the world. I make art for Black women, Black girls, to, just for us to be seen, showing off our, culture, our uniqueness, and our beauty. So, yeah.
Your art is amazing. I remember you telling me you were an artist, but I didn't know, I had never seen your art before. So I was like, yeah. And then I saw your art and I was like, oh my God, she's an artist. Like, she's really, she's really an artist. And I think it's really cool to hear for you how you've been able to put yourself out there and keep doing what's hard, right? What's really challenging, which is you being able to not allow the doubt or imposter syndrome or anything like that get in your way. Can you share, since starting your business, what are some really fun things either that people have said or that have happened or like that you're really proud of?
Okay, so I did an art market back in September, and I think it was my first time ever doing an art market. Yeah, and a lady came up to me and she was like, "Oh my God, like, can I take a picture with you and your art?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Not really thinking much of it, and then she later on tells me that her daughter. I can't remember her age, but she's young, and she was like, her daughter does art similar to mine, and she wanted to take a picture to send to her to show her that it's possible to do the art that she's doing and make a living out of it, make money from it. So it just felt really good in that moment that I'm a living proof and representation that it is possible. And yeah, I think that's something that really sticks with me.
Oh my goodness. Again, I'm probably going to cry a thug tear later on. Just because it's amazing. Like all of us have different things that we are meant to kind of come into the world and assigned to do and share and all of that fun stuff. And so I think that for each person, right, the diversity of the different talents we have, we don't know how it's going to have an impact, right? Like you didn't know maybe that you and showing up and doing your art and starting your business when you started your business specifically, right? To be at that specific market, for that woman to be able to see and say, like, I have a daughter, and then for her to be a supportive mom, right? Like, and show her daughter that someone is out here doing it. Like, it's like a movie. I can't even handle it. Okay. So then for you, what would you say if someone is watching right now and they want to get more in control of like their money and their mindset? They have things that they want to do in the world. They have an impact they want to have. But they don't know like where to begin. What would you say to them?
I'd probably say what I did. Just look into people that, I guess, I don't want to say that you would want to be like, but people that inspire you, people that influence you, that you look up to. So, I found you just sent from watching Anthony O'Neill. And, you're someone that looks like me, someone that comes from a similar background as me. And so that's why I reached out to you for accountability. And it doesn't have to be, a random stranger. It could be someone in your life as well that you see that, is financially stable, reaching out to them, getting advice, or again, accountability, talking to them about your goals. And also, I think I've said this a lot during this talk, but just writing down your goals and dreams and literally saying every single thing that you want to achieve, make it plain and simple, bring it to God. If you are a faithful person and believe in God, bring it to God, and let it be known. Talk to as many people as you can about it. Like Jasen said, I was more than a year ago. I spoke to her about it, and now she's able to see those things that we talked about. So having supporters as well in your corner, we don't talk much, but I know that anytime I could reach out to her, she's definitely going to support me. So yeah, that's my advice.
I love it. So where can everyone find your art and, follow your journey? I'm going to make sure that it's included in the description in the show notes, but let us know verbally so that they can hear it, where they can find you.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram, at Danille Simon, I believe, or no, that's wrong. Art by Danille. That's my Instagram tag. And then on TikTok as well, Danille_Anita. And I also have a website, DanilleSimon.net.
Love it. Make sure that you go and you grab your paintings. I know I am going to grab some paintings when we get off of this conversation, because I've been meaning to get some gifts, and I know that the person that I'm thinking of to get the gift for loves art, and she's going to absolutely love your art. I already know it. And so I appreciate you for showing up in the world, for showing up for yourself, being willing to share your journey and your talents and gifts with the world, for us to watch your journey unfold, and for you to be able to be that model for your siblings and for people that you don't even know, I'm sure, that get to see how you are being faithful and just, doing an experiment with your life and not settling, But I'm so proud to know you. So excited, because honestly, it's just the beginning, right? There's so many more things out there to be able to take advantage of doing. And we're cheering you on. That's all there is. We're cheering you on and in your corner. And that's that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.